Hey everyone, welcome
to Game Club.
Game Club. We should have like a graphic. It's a Game Club.
Yeah, we still have an intro for
Yeah,
this.
remember how you used to be mad every week
Yeah.
that we didn't have an intro, and then it's been so long you just gave up on an intro.
Everyone's like, we're gonna have one, and we never did.
I made us a logo in Photoshop.
Hey,
You did?
that's
I
close.
did.
We should flash it on
It's
the
like
screen.
it's like a neon sign.
Are we doing like team
It's
cross
flashing
leg
right
versus
now.
team straight leg?
Actually, while we were talking about dogs and stuff, I was like this, and I was like, I'm totally lounging it up. I'm not doing the edge of the beanbag
Well,
this time.
you can
It's
so
so
lounge on
much
this.
nicer.
It's just the problem with where you guys are at is if you fart, that's all the microphone picks up.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how often you're farting into microphones or near microphones, but I usually hold it in until the microphone's gone.
I fart a lot.
Powered by farts.
You're like that
Try to keep it
billionaire.
quiet, but like if you ever see me running and then suddenly I get an extra burst of speed, you know what just happened.
So this week we're here to talk about farts
Nice.
Wait,
and the
Synergy.
Unfinished Swan.
that's the one. Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
we're talking about. The Unfinished Swan, which I just found out I paid way more for than I should have.
Hold on.
What? Hold on.
How much
Ashley,
did you pay
much
for
did
this
you pay
game?
for this game?
I didn't pay anything for it. I played at Gus's account.
Oh, that's right. You did buy my account.
Yeah, this is the best thing ever. Gus came over, he's bitching about how much he paid for it. He's like, oh, way too much money. I paid $20 for this game. Too much money. And I'm like, I think I remember spending like $10 or something. Ryan comes over, he's like, whoa, I didn't spend $20. So we Googled
It's
it.
like $750 is what I spent.
$7.50 is what
So
the
how
game
did you-
cost.
But- How did you
I
pay
looked
20
up my
bucks for it?
receipt. I bought it on my Vita, and it was $14.99.
And here's
It's
the
on
other thing.
sale now,
I
but when
wonder-
Gus bought
Yeah,
it.
I think maybe a sale started in
Yeah.
between the time that I bought it.
Which
and-
was a 2-day difference. The other thing is, I wonder if you only have the Vita edition. If you
No.
buy it on the PS4,
No, it's
you get the
cross-
No,
bundle.
it's cross for everything.
Yeah.
You buy it on anything you get.
Because
All
I
of
bought it on the Vita and then actually played it on
On
my
PS4.
PS4 account.
Though I will say the saves don't transfer, or at least
No.
they didn't from PS4 to PS3.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, and
Means I didn't override his progress.
Yeah.
I was happy. Like I don't play many games on my Vita, but I was happy that I played this game on my Vita because it wasn't just a matter of like hitting the triggers to shoot paint. Like I could touch the screen, and the paint would go where I was touching.
Oh,
That's
that's
interesting.
cool.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, okay. Like I stopped using the triggers at that point. I would just like move around and just be like tap 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 like all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And then you screwed yourself right at the beginning. You said like you.
Yeah.
I was
You
talking about.
overpaint?
Yeah. He was talking
You
about
got too
overpainting.
excited.
So for,
Well, I thought that's the point.
You blew your
for
load
those
too
who
early.
haven't played the game, at the very beginning, you're in a completely white environment. In fact, this is what I think a lot of critics latched onto most, is at the very beginning, you're in a completely white environment. You can't see anything. And the way that you expose the environment is you throw these blobs of black paint, and then they stick on stuff and will reveal chairs. Or, well, at the beginning, it's like trees and reeds in a marsh, and you sort of reveal your path by throwing paint. But it's black paint, and if you throw too much, then everything is just
Well,
black
It's
yeah.
the
instead
exact
of white.
same thing.
I
It's
thought,
the
oh,
exact
yeah.
same problem,
Yeah,
just opposite.
You go to the exact opposite extreme. I
Yeah.
didn't think about that. I was like, oh yeah, you just paint everything.
No, wrong.
So-
you get lost.
Yeah.
How relieved were you when you got up to the point where it's the water that dries slowly, and then you just don't have to worry about that?
Well, no, that was frustrating too because you would throw it and then it would fade. So it'd be like you'd have to very quickly figure out what you needed to do.
Keep
Well,
moving, man. Just keep
Yeah.
moving.
by the time you got to the water, though, you're also, that was one of the things I really liked about this, was it progressed. So it starts with that just all white world that you're adding color to, but then as you advance, you get to points where it's now shadows have existed in the world. So it's defined, and you're no longer solely relying on the paint blobs or water blobs to see your environment, except in a very small parts of that.
Yeah, I think
layer.
that's one of the things about this game that shines for me is that it is constantly evolving. It's 2.5 hours. Every single time I felt like, okay, I've got the hang of this mechanic. I get what's going. Oh, now I have a new mechanic. I have something new to master. It moved along really, really well.
Yeah, but you don't get bored with it.
Right.
You don't have enough time to get bored with any one of the features before it adds something new. You get used to it, and then it's right at the right time. They did this really well.
There are some frustrating moments. There's no instruction for the game, realistically. So when the vine mechanic got introduced, I didn't understand it. And I kept walking
That
around
took
that
me
courtyard
ages.
for probably like 15 minutes. Like, where the fuck do I go? Like, I can't go back in that door. I was like, kept
I
wandering.
kept throwing paint at like the black doors that have the grills
too.
on them, being like, there's got to be, maybe there's a broken grill somewhere, whatever. And then I realized that I got the vines to grow on accident because
Yeah.
that was it was sort of a black area, and I was throwing things on everything that was black, and eventually noticed there were the little yellow sparklies coming out of the vines, and I went,
Yeah. It also
But then it takes a long time for them to grow, and I'm like, just throwing water.
Yeah.
Yeah, water.
it also has an
Spam in
audio
the water.
cue, which I think is what gave it off more for me. Like the little bells ringing. It's like, oh, something happened, and oh, the vines are growing, and then that also became a little frustrating because sometimes I was in a situation where it's like, how do I get forward? Like, do I need to grow vines and climb on the wall, or am I missing a path? Because you don't. Well, I guess in that level you could see a little more clearly.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
But there
that's
are-
like you are pretty much seeing exactly the entire environment. The thing that I really liked was the big glowy letters, because there was I remember there's a big courtyard in the vine growing area, like an indoor courtyard, and I can't remember. I remember being stuck there for a while and being really frustrated. But then near that is a glowy letter somewhere, and you're like, oh, what is that? Ooh, glowy letter, and then it like reveals
I
like more
love
of the story.
the stories.
Yeah.
I love the part of there's one of the stories in particular is how before he was a king, he was a potter. I have no idea how he became a king. It's like, oh, really? You went from potting to kinging. Okay, I'm sure that's a logical career path. But that he loved his pots, and all the citizens were complaining that the city was too austere, and he was like, whatever, and ignored them until they started going to the bathroom in his pots because they didn't have bathrooms, and that's when he installed sewers.
I
Yeah.
love,
But that was
how,
a
like-
nice mechanic too to introduce the sewer.
right.
By the
Yeah.
way, though, why are we starting with another game where your mom dies immediately?
Seriously, the
Tragedy.
first 30 seconds, mom died. Oh, and here's the worst part. I mean, worse than your mom dying. Like, that's like, bad day. But even worse than that is that she has all these paintings, and the orphanage is like, you can have one.
Yeah, your mom's dead. Nope. At that point, there's no, talking about your father. You just are shipped off to an orphanage with a single painting of your choice.
To be fair,
The Unfinished
here's what
Swan.
I said to Ashley. To be fair, if everybody bought 40 paintings to the orphanage, it would be a really crowded orphanage.
Remind me to never stay in your orphanage because you're going to have, like, sad kids
Well,
that have,
you're
like,
gonna go bankrupt
one
paying for
family
storage for
partner.
kids' crap.
But then you could set it up like an art gallery and then sell paintings and have people come
Wait,
in
I'm
and like,
selling kids'
yeah, would you like to
memories?
buy a kid with this painting?
Look, you're defraying the cost. Look, he's good
His
stock.
stepmom painted
Yeah.
it. It's really cool.
Buy 6
Buy
paintings,
2.
get a free kid.
Exactly.
Chances are this one might be the next Picasso. Go
Right.
ahead and get him now.
It's like, look at the genetic,
Genetically
the genetics that are going into this child.
Good breeding.
I love that it's better to sell someone's dead mom's paintings than to just not let them keep them.
Well then, you
Make
know.
a little bunce, I guess.
Well, then the kid can get like a little cut of it. That's like,
Oh, now we're cutting the kid
yeah,
in.
your mom's painting sold well. You get a better room at the orphanage
go.
now. Or you
Hey.
get to eat a steak tonight.
Extra scoop of gruel.
You can
Right.
go stay overnight with a millionaire. What's the plot of Annie? I don't
Yeah.
remember. It's been a
Yeah.
while. There was a dog involved.
Something millionaire.
But anyway, so he takes the painting with him to the orphanage, and then one morning he wakes up, and the swan is gone.
And it walked right out of the painting.
It did.
Jerk swan.
That swan, man.
Seriously,
No
he's
sense
like-
of commitment.
He's like,
Wily.
I got one thing. I got you, Swan, and you ran off. You asshole.
Everything
Get
leaves
back
him.
in the
Something's
painting.
wrong with the kid. Everything leaves
Yeah,
him.
everything leaves or die. Like
Well-
death or leaving is preferable.
I also like towards the beginning, he gets in the hot air balloon, and the story's like, and he was having such a great time, he forgot he was scared of heights. Until he fell out of the balloon, and then he remembered almost immediately.
Yeah, that was a weird line. Like weird way to say like almost immediately. Like
Like at first he
I,
was like,
I like that it's like, oh wait, hold on.
falling is bad.
Or maybe it's that cartoon thing where they're suspended for a second, like,
yeah.
uh-oh, and then they fall.
Now, to be fair, we start with a sad story, and also we end with a sad story.
Yeah, nice bookend. It's like, oh, you're my dad, and you're gone.
Bye, nice to meet
Well, it
you.
keeps with the theme.
It's
Yeah,
true.
Everything
Everything
He's
leaves.
leaves.
consistent.
I think my favorite. I really like the paint mechanic and the vine mechanic, but I loved the creepy spider like river run bit also. I really thought that was a lot
Yeah,
of
but
fun.
like when you had to run like light to light
Yeah.
and avoid the staying in the
It
darkness too
still
long.
managed to feel very kind of storybooky, and it honestly, I had this weird like flashback to Monster Plantation at is that Six Flags or Disneyland? Anyway, it's a very kind of like a kid-friendly sort of haunted house kind of thing, where it's like it's scary, but it's like, hey, it's kid scary. It's
Right.
okay. You're safe.
Yeah, I like that this is a kid-friendly game that adults can enjoy as well. But this was a good one. I was trying to tell Ryan, I'm like, get Eli, like he'll enjoy. It's very like it's scary, but it's not too scary, and
Yeah.
it's like sad, but it's gonna kind of go over a kid's head for how sad that really is. You know what I mean? Like,
It's said like Up, where it makes adults sad, and kids are like, "Where's the dog with the cone on his head?"
exactly.
Did you get Eli to play it?
I hadn't tried it with him yet because I started on the PS4. That's how I discovered it was not transferable between systems. And I got
The save
home,
was not
I had a
transferable.
PS3 at home that it didn't have any of my save data, so I came back here and finished it.
Well, it's a quick game to finish.
It
at
is.
least. Yeah, I think. Someone said 2.5
2.5
hours. Yeah,
hours, yeah.
2.5,
Hold on,
3
I'm
hours.
pulling it back up on how long to beat.
It's got it depends on how much of a completionist you are. There are collectibles in the form of balloons.
I
that
love the
you-
balloons.
I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't check the toys section until I was almost done with the game. I think I was like in the final, like in the King's Dream section before I finally went and looked at that. And there's a lot of useful stuff in there you can get by redeeming balloons.
Yeah, the balloons are basically a currency by which you can buy sort of upgrades. Like there's an upgrade that'll let you just do like a hose-like stream of paint instead of individual shots. There's a sniper rifle.
Wouldn't the hose-like stream of paint be like a downgrade because you're just gonna paint everything?
Only it would be for the paint section, but think about it for the vines.
Yeah, for water.
Okay,
it'd be-
yeah, that's a good call.
So
That wasn't honestly, the vines sucked, but they weren't so bad
Yeah.
with the touch on the Vita because it was just like smashing all over the place.
you could spam it. I will say the one thing that was a little frustrating for me about this game was just the camera speed. I couldn't turn it up high enough. Like it felt really.
Yeah, it does feel like it. Once you have like that kind of lackadaisical storybook feel, really.
Yeah.
I remember playing this game when it first came out for review, so I had to finish it and then talk about it immediately, like same day. So I remember looking at balloons and being like, "Fuck you, balloon," and then just like moving on. Like
I
see
don't
you
have to
up
get
there.
you.
I don't want to get you today.
I have a weird thing where like I was playing it a little bit earlier and I was like, oh, I need to get through this. I need to finish. I can't do it. I can't play speedrun mode.
Yeah.
I'm like that balloon. I'm like
Get
that
it.
balloon.
It's
It's
taunting
gonna bug
you.
me. I can get to it. I gotta figure this. Like I can't not completionist that stuff, especially because they're balloons.
I think when I first noticed them, I can't remember, but when I first noticed them, you don't really know that you're supposed to grab them or collect them in any way. So then when I finally collected one, I was like, shit, I've passed like 3 balloons.
The first one I collected, the very first one I saw, I thought that meant it was the end of the level.
Oh yeah, me too.
And so I was going towards it, and then it was like, you got a balloon, one of, however many in the first level, and I was like,
Damn.
Now you
I
have
was
a
like-
job.
yeah, I was like, now it's, it started, it's like the first taste is free,
Oh, yeah.
and now I'm addicted. God damn you.
Yeah.
The balloon industry is a racket.
But I thought it was cool that they tied that into like usable benefits in the game, that you get something out of it, and you don't even get to see all of them until you have like nearly enough balloons, right? Like you have a
The
certain amount.
balloon
and it'll show you-
radar is a toy you can unlock. That
Right.
little, but it was weird. I think you had to unlock all the balloons to get the balloon radar. So I don't.
No, balloon radar was
Or was it
only
the
like
sniper rifle?
10 balloons, I think. Sniper rifle was like 30. There might have been another one.
I had 2 that were still locked. Like I couldn't purchase them. The 30 thing that I remember was the hose. And then the sniper rifle and the balloon radar I could see, but I couldn't purchase yet. They
I
were
thought the balloon
locked.
radar was really cheap though, and that would make sense because if you have less balloons, you want to find more balloons.
Right.
So I thought it was cheap, but I could be wrong.
So
Overall, I thought it was a fun game. I wish I'd paid $7.50 for it instead of $15. At $15, I think it's too much for that game. $7.50 is a fair price, I think.
Yeah, if you do a completionist run through, trying to get all the balloons and everything, it's gonna get you maybe 4 hours out of it. But I mean, unless you're really taking your time, like, no, I think I can get it to 5. I gotta get this higher. So yeah, it is an expensive game for the number of hours, but it's really beautiful.
No, it's a
When it came out, it was compared a lot to Journey.
Yeah. It
There's a
came out
Journey
the same
Easter egg
one,
in it.
Yeah,
around
and
the
it's
same
There
time.
is?
yeah.
Yeah, at one point you climb up and look in the telescope. If you zoom all the way in, you can see the 2 little Journey characters.
Oh, really?
I
must
think
not have
that's
seen
what
that.
it was. I haven't played
Oh.
Journey, but it looked like the outlines I'm familiar with. From
It was the
Journey.
same time. They came out at the same time. So
Yeah, hopefully you'll get to play Journey soon because it is in the cylinder.
It just came
Yeah.
out. We should talk about this on the patch, but it just came out on the PS4, and it was the GameSpot review for the PS4 version is higher rated than the PS3 version. They gave the PS4 version a perfect 10, which I think is only like the 11th or 12th time
It's
they've
the
done that in
10th
history.
one.
Well, now it's got
Is it the 10th?
nostalgia
Yeah.
factor.
Yeah, there you go.
well, that's true. And also, I mean, I think Journey came out in a tough year because it also came out in the Walking Dead year,
yeah.
the Unfinished Swan. It was like a lot
And
of
the Hotline
artsy
Miami
games.
year.
Yeah, a lot of really like artsy indie games really came out like strong that year, and so maybe in perspective we see it as a lot stronger game than we did when it first came out. These are both Journey and the Unfinished Swan were both done by companies that are truly independent or technically independent, but also sort of funded by Sony. So
Yeah, they got a lot of additional support.
right. So that's when
Shenmue.
it came out.
Sorry.
Shut your
excuse
mouth
me,
when you're
pardon
talking
me.
about Shenmue.
All right. Well, is it cylinder of selection time?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's get it out here. Who's gonna pick? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Gus is gonna pick.
The wheels were stuck.
Who are you?
It's crooked.
Gus,
Who are
who
you
are you
yelling
talking
at?
to?
Yelling into the distance.
That's just how Gus talks. Like in his
Gus,
house, he
you're
just
so
yells
big.
in the distance.
I've got no mic. I have to yell.
Is that the
wouldn't
sequel to
believe
I
it.
Have No Mouth and I Must Scream?
Yeah, exactly.
All
I
right.
have no mic. I must yell.
Completely encased.
What are we playing?
Hot date.
Hot date!
Hold on.
We did it! We didn't even have to rig it!
Gus senses deceit.
I think Gus is gonna go back
I
on
have
it.
to look. I have to make sure.
He has
this
to at
isn't-
least establish that it was legit.
To be fair, if we went with another game, it would be preferable because
Hotline Miami. So okay.
Okay, see, it's legit.
Legit draw.
I'm telling you, the cylinder wanted us to play this game.
Well, Gus won't even be here next week, so why do you care?
I've already played it. It also says everyone hot date.
That's because that's what we all want to play.
yeah.
And especially Ryan. Ryan,
Yeah.
are you acquainted with Hot Date?
This is the one where you're a dog, right?
No.
No, you date a
date a
dog.
dog.
It's a dating
You have
simulator.
And they're
dinner
like
with this
snarky
sarcastic
pugs.
pug. What do you think?
And it's a PC and Mac game, I believe.
Yeah, it's like a I think it's free.
It's free. You can-
browser
yeah.
game.
That made it to another platform. Hooray.
So we'll be here. I won't be here, but you guys will be here to talk about Hot Date next week.
Yes.
I'll be a little thing called RTX.
What?
All right, thanks for watching, everyone.